What's up guys, in this week's video I wanted to talk to you about why I think I'm genuinely happy almost all of the time. I have noticed that a lot of my friends and a lot of people at my school are most of the time not that happy, and I've always wondered why that was and why I didn't feel the same way, luckily. And I think that recently in a conversation with one of my best friends, I have kind of stumbled upon the answer, and that's what I wanted to discuss with you today. What I came to realize during that conversation with my friend is that a lot of people nowadays, and I think this has been going on for basically as long as we exist, is that a lot of us have at some point in their lives hated themselves. And I've seen this in a lot of my friends and some family members, and I can honestly say that I have never ever hated myself for anything. Not because I thought I wasn't good enough, because I wasn't thin enough or didn't have enough willpower or anything. I have honestly never hated myself. And I do think that that is really important, because if you have that kind of level of kind of inner peace, I think you automatically have a kind of broader bandwidth of happiness. And I think that it is harder to be knocked out of that bandwidth because it is A, broader, and B, because you're more stable and sure of who you are. In addition to that, I do think that some of my usual happiness comes from the kind of Stoic principle of only letting things you can control your mood, because it is simply a waste of energy to get angry at things that are outside of your control, since you can't do anything about them anyway. For example, I noticed that a lot of people get angry in traffic when someone cuts them off or does something stupid. And the funny thing is that usually when we're the ones doing something stupid in traffic accidentally, we always hope that person knows that I didn't mean it that way, or that I just didn't see him, or whatever. And when the same thing happens to us, we're so quick to judge. And that is something that I've always found quite strange, because why would you at one hand hope that if you're the one doing something wrong, that other people know that you didn't mean it that way, but when other people do something wrong to you, you immediately assume the worst. And part of my happiness, I think, is because I always think about the situation from both my perspective and the other person's perspective. I never just assume the worst in people or in situations. And I know that that may sound a bit idealistic and unrealistic, but that is most of the time honestly how my mind works. When I'm fighting with someone, it's really hard to get me mad, and even when I'm really mad, I will always keep thinking about what I'm saying and what that will do to the other person. Now there's a little bit of danger there, that it can be hard to actually say what I want to say, to get the thing off my chest, but that is something that I have improved upon the last few years. I don't know why most people have at some point hated themselves in their lives and I haven't. Because I've never hated myself, I can't really imagine what leads to actually hating yourself. I can somewhat paint a picture in my head, but that will never be truly reflective of how someone feels when they're actually hating themselves. But I do hope that people can try to practice a little bit more of self-compassion, because usually we judge ourselves by what we think other people will judge us for, but most of the time that doesn't even happen. For example, when I used to play basketball on a field close by, it was next to a pretty busy road, and I always stick to the easy shots that I knew I could probably make, because I didn't want people driving by to see me miss a shot. But when you think about it, that's so ridiculous. Most of the time people are focusing on driving, so they won't even see you shooting that shot. And even if they did, who cares? You're probably never going to see them again. And even if you are, everybody misses at some point. Even professional basketball players miss sometimes. That's just what happens, and by missing you can then adjust your shot and try to get better. But it is so ridiculous to not do the things you actually want to do, because you're already judging yourself for something you think other people will judge you for, without knowing whether those other people will actually judge you for it. It just makes no sense. And when I look back on myself, I'm like, why the hell did I let that decide what I did? So after coming to that realization, I kind of made a rule for myself, which obviously isn't 100% foolproof, but it does help. And that rule is that when someone I care about gives their opinion on something that I want to do or did or whatever, I'll listen and I'll then reflect on whether that opinion is something that I want to do something with. But if people that I don't know give a comment about me that isn't constructive or useful, I just will ignore it. For example, another situation where I thought about that is when I cut off my hair. I was kind of worried what some people at school might say, and when I actually thought about it, the only opinions I was worried about were the opinions of people I don't even care about. And I know that might sound a bit harsh, but if we're being honest with ourselves, most of the people on this planet we don't care about on a level where their opinions of us actually matter to us and are based on our actual personality. Why should I care what someone who I don't even like thinks about my hair? As long as I like it, that's fine. And of course, if people say, "Ooh, I really like your hair," that does make me feel better, but most of the time people won't even say it if they don't like it, so why worry about it? And in addition to that, if people don't like it, then that's their problem. If I like it, it's still my head and I'm allowed to do with it whatever I want. So in conclusion, the reason why I think I'm genuinely happy almost all of the time is because I just have never hated myself and therefore probably have more inner peace, which leads to me just having a broader happiness bandwidth. 2, because I have learned to most of the time stop caring about what other people think of me. And 3 is because I almost always think about a situation from 2 perspectives, my own and the other person's. So I hope that maybe this video helped you a bit by making you think about how you think about yourself and how you let other people influence how you think about yourself. And I hope that maybe this video will have been of value to you. And if it was, please give it a like. And if you want to see more of my videos, please consider subscribing. I hope to see you in next week's video.